Hey, how are you? Here we are. We are live on High Vibes Up on Wednesday, 17th of May, 2023. Hi, Diane. How are you?
Hello, live at 5. Here we are.
Yep. I'm just going to set up my screen over here so I can see the chat for YouTube as well.
Yep, I am doing that myself.
That's perfect.
Here we go.
Yep. So I can kind of
live.
2023.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, let me turn it down. Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay. No worries. So welcome. It's great to be here on Wednesday evening. And, we've got some really exciting information today. We've got an amazing guest. This is going to be such a fiery information session. I'm so excited, so excited. So I know for our special guest, you're going to do the introduction, and because I can feel your excitement is beyond control. So it's
He's going to be coming on soon. Yeah, it'll be awesome.
We love this guy. He's so special.
Yes,
and he shares so much of what is real and what is true, right?
What is real and what is false? What is real and what is lies? The truth and the lies. Oh my gosh, it couldn't get any more fiction.
So let's just do our kind of weekly greet. Welcome, High Vibes Up family. We welcome you from all around the globe. We're excited to have you. We want you to participate because this is your show as well. And we are honored here as guest hosts to, have this show on behalf of Kid and Candy while they're on the wellness journey. This is what it's about. We welcome everybody. We send a lot of love that's been passed down from Kid and Candy to all of you that are here joining us. And we have a lot of value today in the information that's coming together.
We do. And okay. I was having more technical difficulty. So I could see the chat now. Oh, hello, Ronnie.
Hi, Ronnie.
Niceliness. I hope everyone got an opportunity to see our morning live. We did a 9 a.m. live Pacific Standard Time with Alpa Sony, the spiritual badass. I love it when she gets on her, when she starts getting connected in and she just starts going. And I'm like, I forgot I was on the call. I was just literally listening to you, these two beautiful British accents. And I'm just like, oh, I'm on the call. Oh, I can say something. I can ask a question live. This is awesome. It was so fun.
It was a lot of fun. And, it's such an honor and it's a pleasure and a privilege to do this as being in service to everybody. For the love of it, for the passion of it, to be here for humanity, for everybody, for our HVU family members. This is something that adds love and appreciation and acceptance when they come onto the platform. There's go
ahead.
There's a huge connection.
Absolutely. I'd just like to do a little update on the High Vibes Up mom and brother. Our mom, my sister and my brother, they're both doing wonderfully. They're making amazing strides. They're doing well. They're sounding good. I think they've gotten to the bottom of this, and we will be seeing in the next coming weeks how things get an opportunity to progress. I'm super excited for them. Super excited. And grateful to be here all at the same time. So it's a double-edged, a sword in a good way. It's a good thing.
It's very humbling, and it's the appreciation each moment that we have to be in this high vibration, because we're surrounded by love. We're surrounded by so much information, knowledge, and I've got some questions for Ethan as well. And so I was like,
okay.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see
Oh, this man's brain is just incredible.
He's just
my God,
another level that I absolutely love. Absolutely love it because he just, So he'll be joining us very shortly. And I think he was just getting set up.
Yep, that's what he said. So he should be hopefully coming in here quickly.
Yeah. I had my ASEA just before I came on. Feeling
awesome. I had some of the NutraSwish. I had some of the glutathione, and I swished it, and I made myself a pot of coffee because I wasn't sure how I was going to be doing. And after the NutraSwish, I forgot all about the pot of coffee, and it's just sitting in there. So all is good. All is good. So one of the things that you definitely want to go and watch that video from this morning with Al Pasoni. My God, is her heart tender. I just absolutely love where her heart is. I love that she supports ASEA and she's in with the sisterhood and the brotherhood of that. But she also has her own thing, which is brilliant. And I urge everyone to go and take a look at it because it's not just for children with autism. I use it on my father. He had some brain surgery and he had a shunt in his head. So he definitely has heavy metals. People that have knee replacements, hip replacements, all these things, you're not immune. I mean, this is going to be happening. Whether even though they say, oh, no, 1 part per million in, 40 years. Yeah, it really doesn't work that way. No. It works a different way. So absolutely take a look at Ari, A-R-R-I, or A-R-I-I, excuse me.
Yeah, and we'll have the links posted as well after this show for Al Pasoni's show that we did this morning. They'll be updated.
Okay.
That's okay. It's fine.
It's almost here. He says almost there.
No worries. Let him take his time.
Faster.
Oh no, it's fine. We've got this. We've got this space covered.
We might have him trapped here for a couple of hours. We'll just
It doesn't matter. I think I am okay with that.
I am too. I just literally I get lost in what he's saying, and then my brain starts, you could see my head starting to smoke. It's like, okay, well, what? Yeah, I got 5,000 questions.
Yeah. Beautiful. I'm just gonna see. All right, so we've had some glorious weather in the meantime, though.
Oh yeah, it's 94 degrees at my house.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it went straight up from the Arctic to 94. And I guess next week it'll be in the 80s, which I'm super okay with, that little Goldilocks zone between 70 and 88 right there. Super happy with those. With that. So the 94 was a slightly sweltering from literally going from 65, barely 70 once, and now it's like blazing.
Ronnie's going, hold him hostage if we're here for too long. So Ronnie's asking, where are you, Diane? What's your location? You don't have to give it.
I'm in the high desert of Southern California. Just almost out of the LA County area, just a hop, skip, and a jump, and we would no longer be in LA County, which I wish we had gone the extra hop, skip, and jump. The
mystery man is here. No, our special guest is here. So let's just get him in. All right.
It's a rock star.
Yeah. Just give him a moment. And hi, Ethan, you're muted. There you go.
What's up?
Hey, great to see you. We've been so excited to have you on the show today, and we can barely just keep our bottoms in the seat. So welcome.
Well,
I know
sorry I'm a little bit late. I had a meeting that went over and it threw me off, and plus I'm traveling right now, so
awesome.
Made it a little harder. So I didn't have my normal setup ready.
No worries.
Let me do a little intro here. This is Ethan Lucas. He is a musician. He is the rock star of the Celebrity Saints. You can find him on Rumble at Ethan Lucas Show and the Ethan Lucas Show, and his own platform, which is ethanlucas.com. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. And this is the man that literally the first time I saw you speak was in Las Vegas, and I had really not heard of you. You were kind of a little difficult to find at the time. And I remember when you got off the stage and I said, I could listen to you for half the damn day. I
remember you approaching me. Yeah.
You remember that? Yeah. And I had the pink hair. I mean, literally it was like, bam, bam. I was just like, wow, this guy, I mean, we need him on a bigger stage. He needs to be up really top. Oh, and I forgot to say you're a naturopath too.
Yeah, currently I'm in a doctoral program to become a naturopathic doctor, but I do health coaching though. So
right.
I don't have the doctor's degree yet, but I still know from a lifelong influence from my grandfather, who was a nutritionist. I grew up in it basically. So to be quite honest, I don't know that I'm really learning stuff that I didn't already know in this doctoral program. I mean, there are some things, but a lot of it's kind of just review, really. But that's what happens when you spend decades of your life in growing up in it, really. So yeah. Anyway,
that's awesome. Well, first of all, I want to ask you, how was Kauai? Remember, I said you must get in the water there.
Oh yeah, it was great. I went snorkeling while I was out there. I would have liked to have been in a better location for the snorkeling, but that's the way it happened that day, because you can't plan with the weather and the tides and things like that. You have to kind of go with what Mother Nature gives you. It was a little deeper of a spot, and it wasn't kind of as clear as what I wanted, but it was still fun. And the boat ride that I took, it was probably 5-6 hours long, and it was amazing. On the one side of the island, it's just all cliffs where they filmed Jurassic Park,
the Nepali coast.
Yeah. Oh, it was amazing. Yeah.
I always
got to see dolphins. Was it humpback whale or a blue? I can't remember what it was. There was a whale there. Whale. It was a mama and her baby. Yeah.
I love that area. It's so beautiful. And the caves there. Did the boat come up into the caves?
Didn't go up in the caves. I mean, we were in a bigger boat, so but yeah, I mean, I saw some people kind of camping out on the shore there. That must be an experience.
Oh, I would imagine.
Well, because you can't. I mean, you have to get there by boat. There's no roads. Either boat or helicopter.
You can walk at the top. You can walk at the top, but it is sheer cliffs.
No, you're not coming down that unless you die.
Unless you go all the way. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It is so beautiful. It's one of my favorite places.
And the energy there is amazing. The only thing it took me a little bit to get used to was it wasn't quite as bad when I stayed on what's the island with Honolulu? Is it Oahu? Is that how they pronounce
Honolulu, I think is Oahu. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I was there before. That was the only other island I'd been on before. And the resort I stayed at then, there was a lot of peacocks, and they were kind of obnoxious with their screeching.
Oh yeah.
But they didn't wake you up at 4:30 in the morning like the roosters do on Kauai.
I know the roosters and the cows and the horses. You could hear everything just going off.
But I got used to it, and I would just sleep with earbuds in.
Where did you guys stay? What were you in Princeville or?
Yeah, I stayed in Princeville.
Yeah, that's just above Honolulu.
Well, the rest of the True Tour crew did not. They stayed over on the east side of the island. I was up in Princeville on the north side.
Good job.
Yeah.
Kid and Candy send their love. They're watching us too. So this is great. Thank you for joining us. Such a privilege to have you.
Yeah.
And I am so excited. I'm holding on to my seat for what you have to share. Your wealth of knowledge and teachings.
What would you
actually, to be honest, I didn't play anything specific because I didn't know exactly what you wanted to talk about. But I think my areas of expertise, if you will, were the things that I usually talk about. I don't know that I really call myself an expert in any area, probably more of a jack of all trades, but yeah, we can talk about whatever you want.
I was wondering if we can possibly, go deeper, or just, surface level of our words and how they were designed and whatnot to basically be spells, to be,
Yeah, they are. And there's some amazing stuff throughout the Bible. And again, because religion has taught everybody to take the Bible religiously. And let me just put it this way first. Let me kind of backstep a couple steps and then tangent a little bit, and then I'll come back to this. The Bible is not a religious book. It never was. It never was. Religion is something outside of the Bible, okay? It got a hold of the Bible, and it took it and it twisted it to conform to its own thing, okay?
Yep.
So religious Judaism, religious Christianity, is completely different from what the Bible actually intended and what it means. If you take the religious filters off and stop looking through religious lenses and just read the Bible for what it actually says, go back to the original Hebrew, the original Greek, and find all the places where they sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally mistranslated it. Just go back to what it actually says instead of what they say that it says. It becomes very obvious that the Bible's not religious at all. There are zero religious concepts in the Bible. Zero. When I say, I mean, it's not just like, there's maybe a little bit of kind of some religion. There's zero religious concepts in the Bible. Okay.
I get it.
So once you get to that point, it gets a lot easier to understand that the Bible is a very powerful blueprint for your life. Religion actually takes away all the power from it, and it turns it into a tool of oppression and control and tyranny. And that's what religion does. Yep. And for those people who are still kind of confused on that matter, just as an example, religion is a form of government, okay? And or you can flip that around. Government is a form of religion.
Exactly.
The word government literally means mind control. It's govern and ment, M-E-N-T, which is Latin for mind, okay? It literally means mind control. And the word religion comes from the Latin word religare, which means return to bondage. So no matter how you spin it, government and religion are the same thing. It's a form of bondage. It's a form of mind control, okay?
Wow.
And so anytime a government body or a religious body gets a hold of any document, just like they did with our founding documents for the United States of America, there's nothing political in those documents either. In fact, if you read those correctly, they will set you free from politics. If you read the Bible correctly, it sets you free from religion. And so this is how powerful words are. And this is why they've done what they've done, because they realize if you learn how to read these documents, the most powerful documents in our world, if you live in the United States of America especially, are the founding documents, Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution. And you read what they actually say instead of what they say that it says. You get these judges that do their own little
spin.
Yeah, their political activism from the bench, if you will. Okay. And then it's the same thing with pastors, priests, all of those guys. Same thing. They're like the judge sitting up there behind the bench, right, making their judgments about what it says. They do the same thing. It's the same game on both sides. There is no separation of church and state, and it's all because they realize the power of words in those documents, especially the Bible and the founding documents. Those are the most powerful documents you can use and read on a daily basis in your life today. And when you get back to the original verbiage, to the original meaning of the words in all of those documents, you will find that the power of manifestation in those things is amazing. And then you get to see that, oh, not only can I use these documents as a guide stone or as a blueprint for my own life. But like Jesus said in Mark 11:24, he said, anything you believe and anything you ask for, if you do it in my name, and that Greek word name is onoma, which means to do with the exact likeness and characteristic of. It doesn't mean, oh, say in Jesus' name, like religious people always do. Okay, well, there is mathematically, if you want to get down to the vibrational frequency aspect of the name Jesus, there is something powerful to that, because it's the numerology for the name Jesus is the number 888, which is the mythological number of the sun. That's why they changed his name from Yeshua, the Jewish religious name that was given him. And notice God changes everybody's name in the Bible, takes away their birth given name, which is a name that keeps them dumbed down, and gives them a higher name. He did that with Abram, changed it to Abraham. He added the ha in there, which is the breath of life, right? Same thing with Sarai, his wife. He named her Sarah, added the in there, the breath of life. Okay. Saul, he changed to Paul. Jacob, he changed to Israel, on and on and on and on. Well, it's no mistake, and I hear these Christians do this all the time. They start to wake up, and they start to kind of see this stuff, and they start on the surface level of, oh, we have to go back to the name Yeshua. That's his real name. No, that's the name that was given to him in a religious Jewish setting. That is not his name. The writers of the Bible wrote his name in Greek and changed it to Jesus on purpose, because the Greek letters add up to 888. And there's a lot of power for manifestation in that number. But that aside, what the scripture really said when Jesus said in Mark 11:24, he said, whatsoever you shall believe, if you ask in my name, you shall also receive. And he didn't stutter. He said anything, not some of the things, all the things. And again, that Greek word onoma that they translate as name doesn't just mean name the way we think of it. And this is the problem with translation of scripture, especially because they forget, I think the translators, even when they're trying to be accurate and be honest about it, they oftentimes are influenced by their own biases and by what they think that it should say. And also they forget that what something meant 2,000 years ago doesn't mean the same thing now, right?
Exactly.
Think about if you were to take, let's say somebody writes in a journal now, yesterday Mary came over and we shot the bull, and she let the cat out of the bag. She spilt the beans. Now, if somebody reads that 3,000 years from now, they find that in an archaeological dig, you're going to read that and be like, what the hell was going on over at Mary's house?
Why was there a cat in a bag?
Well, yeah, why is there a cat in a bag? Are they drunk? They spilt the beans. Were they shooting cows in the backyard? So it doesn't always mean what it says. You can't read it like a newspaper, and you can't take it so literal. And the Bible is actually very clear about this. The Bible clears up the confusion. It's actually self-defining. That's the amazing thing about the Bible. So that's how intelligent the divine inspiration behind the Bible was, is that it's like, okay, it has to be written in hidden codes and symbols, because if not, then it's going to be censored. These books are going to be burned. They'll be confiscated, whatever. Kind of like how we have to self-censor on the internet today, because if not, it just gets deleted, right? Well, God was smart. Right. You know, the writers of the Bible were smart. They knew the same thing. Like, we have to write in hidden codes and symbols using numerology, astrological symbolism. And that's essentially how they did this. And so that way it was written in a way that could be understood by those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, like Jesus said. The real truth seekers who were willing to dig for the truth and be honest with themselves instead of using the book for control. But it was also written in a way where that wouldn't really be found out by the lower carnally minded people, because it was written in a way where they would see it written the way it is and they'd be like, I love this. It gives me a way to control people. So it's clever on so many levels. Okay. But anyway, back to the original point about that. It's so easy to tangent with this stuff because it's so complex and there's so many things you have to cover if you haven't covered it before in order for any of this to make sense. But what Jesus said in Mark 11:24, whatsoever, meaning anything you ask in my name, in my onoma, if you believe, truly believe, not just mentally ascend to agree with an idea, which is what most people do. They don't truly believe at a deep subconscious level. They haven't reprogrammed the subconscious mind. That's why things aren't happening for them, because they're still living with that subconscious programming running in the background like DOS on their computer. It's like you see the windows up here on your computer, but you don't see all of the programming that's running in the background. That's 95% of it. It's the same thing with your subconscious mind. What you actually believe is what's in your subconscious mind. And your conscious mind, which is left hemisphere, by the way, right hemisphere is subconscious, spiritual, all that stuff. What you consciously are aware of is 5 to 10%. And it's completely oblivious to what's in the subconscious mind. The left and the right hemispheres, they do coincide and sync together in certain ways. But the aspects of the mind, the conscious mind being correlated with the left hemisphere activity and the subconscious being correlated with the right hemisphere activity, those two minds don't communicate. And that story is very obvious in Genesis when you go back, as Adam is the conscious mind, Eve is the subconscious. And you see where the programming happens. It happens with all the talking snakes, programming the subconscious mind, programming your Eve, okay?
Yep.
And if Adam comes along and he just allows Eve to eat the fruit and he eats it with her, then there's a problem, right? But if Adam would have said, no, we're not doing that, there would have been no problem. That's the conscious mind stepping in and saying, okay, I'm going to go take a look at what Eve is doing. She's off frolicking in the woods, talking to snakes out there, right? So that's your subconscious mind. If you let your subconscious mind just be programmed by the world out here and all the talking snakes, and you don't consciously make an effort to say no to Eve, because she'll just take anything that's given to her. Okay, your subconscious mind is passive. It's feminine. It's the receptor. It's the vessel. That's why the Bible cautions you about what you see, what you watch, look at, what you listen to, anything. That's why Jesus said it's not that which enters a man, the food, because religion's concerned with what you put in your mouth. You can't drink alcohol. You can't smoke cigarettes. You can't, you can't put certain things in your body physically. Jesus said, no. It's not that which enters a man physically. It's that which comes out of him that defiles him. Well, what comes out of you? Just like your computer. What comes out of your computer? It's what's in the programming, right? So what's going to come out of you is what's in the programming. And that programming is not in the conscious mind. The conscious mind is the windows on your screen. It's what you see visibly.
Right.
The programming is all the coding and the software behind the scenes. That's what's in the subconscious mind. So in order for you to do what Jesus said in Mark 11:24, anything you believe, if you ask in my name, my own noma, which means to do it the way I do it the way I've shown you, do it in the full characteristic and spirit and likeness of me, then you can manifest anything you want. So that's just one small example of where the Bible instructs us on how we can use our words to manifest in that power. But it's written throughout the whole thing. And that is really what the Bible is all about. It is showing you the power of the spoken word. In fact, the Gospel of John opens up with that. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God, and everything that was made with the Word, and there was nothing made that wasn't made with the Word, right? The words are what create everything. Spells, okay, that's why they call it spelling, or they call it grammar, because that's where, like, the word for a spell book, a grimoire, that's where grimoire comes from, is from grammar, right? Signing your name in cursive, it's cursive because you're cursing yourself when you, and curse isn't necessarily always, like, if you study the real etymology of that and you follow it all the way back, it doesn't necessarily mean it's, I think, again, we've been programmed by certain modern meanings of words. The language has been perverted. That root word originally goes back to something that just binds you to something. So if you sign something, you're bound to it. And I think that's really why they called it cursive, because the root word for cursive etymologically goes back to something that you bind yourself to, right? It's not necessarily a curse in the sense that you think of it, but that word also tended to mean something that you were just bound to, like you couldn't escape it, right?
Right.
And so from that word, I think we began to change the meaning of the root etymology of what we know of as curse. but that's where they get cursive from, right? Genesis chapter 1, in the beginning, God said, right? Everything starts with word. All creation starts with word. God said, God. And if you read the whole chapter, it's God said, God said, God said, God said, God. And every time God said, God saw, and God said, and God saw. It means he spoke it and then it manifested, right? So the whole thing opens up showing you that you can do that. Even then, that's the Old Testament. The New Testament opens up same way. Gospel of John, in the beginning was the Word was God, the Word was with God, and everything was created with the Word. And then Jesus also says in the Gospel of John, in that day, meaning the day you figure all this out, the day you have your aha moment, the day you finally reach Christ consciousness, or at least the beginnings of it, he says, you will know that I am in the Father in me. That's source, by the way. It's not a sexist thing. The Father is the sacred masculine portion of source. It's the active portion, not the passive, right? And that's why the Bible uses Father so much, the masculine, because it's all about action, the active sacred masculine, not the passive nurturing divine feminine. So he says, in that day, you will know I am in the Father in me, and I in you, and we are one. Okay. So that's where religion really doesn't want you to figure that out. In fact, for the longest time, while they were debating which book should be in the Bible, the Gospel of John was one that they kind of kept out for a while because they didn't like how Gnostic it was. Have you ever studied anything about Gnosticism? The Gospel of John is very Gnostic, which that comes from the Greek word gnosis, to know, right? Right. But it's very deep, very spiritual, a lot of hidden symbolism in it. And it's very forward and blunt. Jesus says in the 8th chapter of the Gospel of John, he said to the Jews, meaning the religious people of his time, because that's all there was, the religious people of his time. He said to the Jews, you don't know my Father, you worship your father, the devil. That's in the Gospel of John. They didn't want that in there. But they finally conceded and allowed the Gospel of John to become part of the major canon, thankfully. And there's so many powerful things you can pull out of the Gospel of John alone. It's one of my favorite scriptures to use against religion. And when talking about this concept of the power of manifesting and the concept of using your words to speak things to manifest, the Gospel of John's a good one. I mean, all the Gospels are good, but that one especially, I think. Anyway, sorry, I'll let you get, that was my whole tangent around running 30 circles to get back to the main point.
Is awesome. Yeah, but everyone got an opportunity to understand what you mean when you say that.
Yeah. And it really does, that doesn't even do it justice. I mean, honestly, if you want to kind of get the whole concept of it, you kind of have to do what I've done, which is take this stuff for decades and decades and decades and dive deep into it. And I think hopefully I'm doing a decent job of like breaking that down in a way in my weekly broadcast on my own channel, so that people, if they follow and they listen to all of it, they'll begin to absorb it quicker than what I did, because I had to go out and just find it all myself. And so what I've done is I've taken all that information, I've organized it, condensed it, and I, put it back out there for people to get in an abbreviated, like Cliff's Notes version of it.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know you've got your own books as well, and you do, I think Ronnie's just said that you do something on a Sunday as well.
Yeah. Every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Now I'm doing something specifically related to the Bible, because I talk about a lot of stuff. I mean, everything I do it's always the two things you're never supposed to talk about, which is politics and religion, right? Well, the reason they don't want you talking about them is because they don't want you exposing the fact that those are the two pillars that they use to control society. So that's all I talk about. So anyway, on Sundays, I'm talking about the religious stuff, and breaking down the Bible and showing people that there's nothing religious in the Bible at all. It's an amazing book. And once you see how powerful it is and you get rid of those religious filters and the blinders, you take a step back and you're like, holy shit, this is the most important, most powerful, most amazing book in the world. And there's nothing religious in it. That's the most amazing part. Once you see that, in my opinion, is the moment. It's kind of like you have your Neo moment where you figure out you can actually fly. You know what I mean?
And which channel is this on Sundays?
I usually do it on ethanlucas.com on my own website. And I started that, and that's why you couldn't find me at first, because I was hard to find, because I got kicked off of everything. And until Rumble, you know, started allowing people to come on and perform with their shows and competitively with YouTube. I wasn't even on that, you know, it was like, I wasn't on anything. BitChute, it was like too glitchy. Like I would be in the middle of a day, literally trying to upload a show 2 hours into the upload, and then it would just fail. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I created EthanLucus.com and just, I pay for the ability for me to just broadcast live on there like I do, like you guys do on YouTube, or like I do sometimes on Rumble. So when I'm on EthanLucus.com, occasionally I'll go on Rumble live. And usually now the only times I will go on the Ethan Lucas Show channel on Rumble and go live on there is if I'm simulcasting from my website, but the Rumble one's always behind. Like if you want to see it in real time, like within seconds live, go to EthanLucas.com and watch the show on there. And we have a chat box on there that I put on there. Thanks to Ronnie, actually, she was the one that suggested it, because for the longest time I didn't even have a chat box. So I finally found an affordable chat box, because most companies that sell these chat boxes for you to put on your website, they want you to pay per user. Like,
oh my gosh.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Like $500 plus a month just for a chat box. And they cap you out on how many people can get in the chat. So I finally found a small software developing company that that made an affordable chat box that I was able to put onto the website. So now we have a good chat box on there too. So it's still a great experience. Like when you go on EthanLucas.com and watch a show there, it's literally just like watching on YouTube or Rumble. You have the show and you have the chat box. It's exactly the same. So most of my shows do happen there. And again, the reason I created EthanLucas.com is because I was getting kicked off everything. I'm like, fuck it, they're not going to stop me, you know? So that's what I did. But I am also occasionally on live on my Rumble channel, on Ethan Lucas Show Rumble channel, just because I only pay for 3-hour stream keys on my my website, because it gets really expensive to go past 3 hours for a stream key on my own website. So if I know I'm going to go longer than 3 hours, or potentially longer than 3 hours, I'll do the show live on Rumble, because you can go as long as you want.
Right.
So I wanted to kind of just ask about the different versions of the Bible, because I know it's been rewritten over time. And it's interesting, there was in my feed, one of my Telegram feeds, there was something that was posted from the 1800s, from the original scrolls. And I think you may have seen it in your email or may not, but it was the wording was so different, and the vibration of those words felt a little bit more sincere than what we tend to read in the Bible today. And the different versions have a different level. And I think it's to actually control and add fear to people's lives of the do's and don'ts. And, you know, in spirituality, it's all oneness. It's everything is a choice. What's your take on that, please?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you, I'm not sure specifically what your question is.
So the original scrolls that the archaeologists have discovered over time through their digs, et cetera, have a different translation
of the Lord's
to the current versions of the Bibles.
Yeah, there's a ton of translations. And I guess maybe I think I kind of get what you're saying now. When I'm studying, I go back to the original Hebrew, the original Greek. Okay. And a lot of people argue that, well, we don't even know if those are the original texts. Jesus said, you'll know a tree by its fruit. I think, and you're probably noticing that too. When you read something, you know if it's bullshit or not. You know if it comes off as religious and controlling rather than empowering and enlightening, then that means there's probably something they changed. Okay. If it doesn't resonate at a soul level in the right way, it's probably not the original. But because what else am I going to do? I'm going to go on some fucking safari in the Middle East and go get blown up on a bus looking for the original scriptures? I mean, people have been doing this for thousands of years. I have to assume that we have as much as we're probably ever going to have. And that's what we have to go on. And so, I told people this on Sunday on my own show, because I've been doing an Easter Sunday series that's gone way longer than I thought. In fact, I'm going to have to finish it now. I thought I was going to finish it on Sunday. Didn't get through all of it. I'm going to have to finish it this coming Sunday. But I talked about this on there. It's like, look, you've got two options. You literally only have two options. You either do what I'm doing, go back to the original Hebrew and the Greek, and try to make sense out of it and get back to the most honest, objective version of that, I guess, if you will, or translation of that as you possibly can. And if you don't come away with something that works, then your only other option is just to throw the whole fucking thing out, because what you have now are religious people that they ignore certain scriptures and chapters and even whole books, essentially, because they can't deal with what it actually says. And I do this all the time when I'm going through and teaching from the Bible. All I'm doing is going back and reading what it actually says. That's all I do. There's nothing special to what I do. And when you read what it actually says, like, for example, let me give you one example of this, like the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Most people are familiar with that, like the concept that story exists, even if they don't know about the story. Well, you know what happened during that story if you read it, and if you take it in a religious way, the way churches teach it, the way pastors teach it, basically what you've got is you've got God destroying this whole city with fire and brimstone. Probably the most violent way you could, it's like dropping a nuke bomb on something, right? But there's one guy he saves out of the whole bunch. And you know, the guy he saves out of the whole bunch, this is what the guy does. In the middle of the angels. Now, keep in mind, I don't have a problem with the way the story's written because I know what it means. It's really simple once you understand how the Bible was written and the way it's supposed to read and what it means. But if you read it like a fucking newspaper, you take it religiously, you read it in a way which essentially is you're taking it out of context, because you don't have eyes to see or ears to hear, because you've been programmed, because you're dwelling in the carnal mind, the worldly mind. You're seeing everything through a 3D lens, through the mind of a carnal person, okay, which is all physical, 3D. You're not going to get the real meaning. And here's the proof of that. So you've got two choices. If you're a Christian and you want to keep your Bible, you either rip the story of Sodom and Gomorrah out of the Bible and pretend like it doesn't exist and go on in cognitive dissonance and just pretend like everything's okay, or you go back and look at it and completely reread it, get rid of the religious filters, and you go, oh, okay, it's actually a symbolic story. The guy that was saved out of Sodom was Abraham's nephew, Lot, okay? And you have to understand that Lot was not a real historical character. Lot is something inside of you. Lot is a character inside of you. He's a portion of your soul, okay? It's the part of your soul that's kind of fucked up because of the way society has programmed you to be, but God knows there's something worth saving in here. Okay, and here's why I say that. Look at the story, how it happened. Because if you take this literal, what you have is you have God saving the guy that in the middle of being saved out of this mess by the angels, you've got a mob of people standing outside of his door. And this is just in the story. So I'm just literally telling you what's in the story of the Bible. A mob outside of his door, beating on his door, trying to get in because they want to rape the angels. They want to have a gangbang on the angels that are there to rescue him. What does this guy do? This is the guy God's trying to save out of here. He wants to offer up his virgin daughters for the gangbang in the street instead of the angels. Okay, so that's the first thing that happens. And Christians don't know how to deal with that because, again, they read it like a newspaper. They take the Bible literally instead of taking it seriously. That's the problem, because they have a carnal mind. And the irony of it is they think that the carnal mind is a mind that's not religious, when in fact that's the ass opposite. A religious mind is the carnal mind. They've flipped it on its head. They've inverted it. Okay. So not only is the guy that God's trying to save the one that's trying to give his virgin daughters out there for a gangbang in the street instead of the angels, but then as they're leaving, and his wife, and they were told not to look back, right? His wife turns around and looks back, turns into a pillar of salt. Again, it's not literal. She didn't turn into a statue made out of molten salt, okay? It's symbolic, okay? But if you don't take it symbolic, if you don't understand that, then now you've not only got a guy who tried to offer up his virgin daughters in a gang rape as the guy that's God saving, but then when he gets to the top of the mountain, which by the way is symbolic, Okay.
Right.
Because everybody goes to the top of the mountain. The ark lands on the top of the mountain. Moses goes to the top of the mountain. Jesus goes up to the mountaintop to be tempted by Satan. Elijah, when he's fleeing the army, he goes to the mountaintop. Okay. It's telling you the same story over and over with different characters. It's all I'm doing. But so this guy Lot, he goes, so his wife is a statue made out of molten salt now, apparently, right? And he's got his 2 virgin daughters who he almost gave up to a gangbang. But now they go up to the mountaintop. What does he do? He gets up there and he gets wasted and has an orgy with his 2 virgin daughters.
Oh,
Not
goodness.
once, but multiple times, and gets them pregnant. This is the guy that God saves out of Sodom and Gomorrah. So if you take this story literally, just like any of the other fucked up stories in the Bible, just like the ones where God told Moses and Joshua and Gideon to go into these cities and just pillage the whole thing, murder, cold-blooded murder, run your swords through all the elderly, kill all the men, kill all the little boys. But the little virgin girls, you keep those for yourselves as sex slaves. That's what God told them, right? If you take this stuff literally, you got a big fucking problem. If you don't understand that what the story is telling you is that you need to invade the armies in here, the cities in here, and you need to pillage, have no mercy on all the programming in here. You just annihilate it. I don't care if it's, again, symbols, right? All the old ideas that you have, that's the elderly that you're to run the sword through. All the little boys, that's the new ideas that have been planted in here by the world. You take them out too. But the young virgin girls, that's the new pure ideas. You keep those for yourselves. Those are the ones you're supposed to copulate with. Those are the ones you're supposed to have offspring with. The new pure virgin ideas, but you take everything else out and have no mercy. The same thing with the story of Lot going up to, the mountaintop and getting drunk and having sex with his 2 virgin daughters multiple times and getting them pregnant. This going up to the mountaintop is the higher realms of consciousness. Getting drunk is getting drunk on the spirit, the wine of the spirit. And the 2 virgin daughters, again, are the virgin pure things within you that you are supposed to, in here, you're supposed to be intimate with, to reproduce with in here, right? If you don't interpret those scriptures any other way than the way I just said, you have 2 choices. You either throw the whole Bible out and say it's a vile, putrid book. It has no place in society, which if you're going to take it literal, I agree with you. Or so you have to throw it all the way out, or you're going to sit there and live in cognitive dissonance, and you have to accept the fact that God tells his people to go kill the elderly, dash babies' heads against the rocks. I'm literally quoting scripture. Dash babies' heads against the rocks, kill all the little boys, take the little virgin girls for yourselves as sex slaves. And then you've also got guys like Lot having a gangbang with his virgin daughters and getting them pregnant while they're fucking wasted out of their minds. You've also got, by the way, Jacob, who is later, God later changed his name to Israel, right? He's got, wait a minute, it was Jacob. So he's got 2 wives. He's got Leah and Rebecca. He's got 2 wives, by the way, and see how that sits with most, I mean, Solomon had 100 wives and 1,000 concubines. Those are whores for the kids in the back that don't know what that is. These are God's people. This is the people that Jesus descended from the root of David, right? This is their holy lineage. So you've got Jacob, who had Rebecca and Leah, and apparently they switched off. One night it was Leah's turn, the next night it was Rebecca's turn, right? So Leah, apparently she was feeling a little frisky on her day off. And so she comes up to Rebecca, comes out from out of the field. She's like, listen, I got these mandrakes. Well, you know what mandrakes are. Now that's a word they use in the Bible. These are hallucinogenic plants. Okay. So she's basically bartering with drugs, hallucinogenic drugs, with Rebecca so that she can have sex with Jacob that night instead of Rebecca having sex with him. So again, this is your Bible. This is the stuff you have to deal with. So you either throw it out and say it's a vile, repulsive book, has no place in society, or you just live with it as a Christian, be like, well, I don't know, I guess I got to rip those pages out of my Bible and live in cognitive dissonance. Or you can do the responsible thing if you want to keep the Bible, do the rational adult thing and take it seriously and understand that these things were written this way for the reason, all the reasons I just mentioned tonight. And you can take them symbolically and spiritually and understand they were written that way to hide the true meaning from those who would seek to destroy the sacred writings. The only way to hide something sacred when you're being controlled by psychopaths is to hide it in something that they think is good. So it was hidden in a story that seems repulsive to a rational-minded, honest person. But to a carnally minded control freak who's a psychopath, they're going to see it, you know, in a way they can use to manipulate people. And then you have all the ignorant masses who just don't pay attention and they get manipulated by it. So that's why the Bible itself says this word of God is a two-edged sword, having the ability to divide asunder the spirit and the soul. So if you don't know how to use it, you better not touch it, because you're going to hurt yourself and a lot of other people. And that's mostly what we've seen out of the Bible, unfortunately, is a lot of destruction and manipulation and control and confusion and hurt and pain and suffering. And all kinds of bad stuff has come up. So I'm not defending in the Bible saying that, you know, it's not capable of hurting people. Clearly it is. But if it's taken, and I don't blame the Bible, I blame the people, because just like you don't blame the gun, guns don't kill people, people kill people, right? Exactly. You can't blame the Bible. The Bible, yes, it's just like a gun. It's a tool. It's a weapon. It can be used to defend.
Can I make a point?
And build up something amazing, or it can be used to destroy and hurt.
Yeah, you know, my grandmother took my sister and I to church when we were little kids. Now, I grew up on the West Coast in California, and my grandmother seemed to find the only hellfire damnation Baptist church. And I'm telling you what, I am telling you, I was in a pool of cold sweat as this man's up front. And, you know, because my grandma was singing that day. So me and my sister were up front. We couldn't wait. We were in a little Sunday school. I might be 4, right? Yeah. You are going to hell. And let me tell you, that whole story of her turning to a pillar of salt had none of those other parts to it, but it was about you know, blindly follow, don't turn around, don't be compassionate, don't have a feeling, you know, you're going to turn to salt. That haunted me. I sat there literally. I was in a pool of cold sweat as a 4-year-old, scared me to death.
Yeah. Well, and I can say this as a psych major, because that was my undergrad at Ohio State with psychology. I can tell you what that does to a child under the age of 7. That plants seeds in the subconscious and unconscious mind that grow up to become those cities in here that God says you now have to go in and destroy and just completely ravage with zero empathy whatsoever, because God's not instructing you to dash babies' heads against the rocks out here. You have to do it in here. Those newborn ideas that come from those vile cities that have been created in here, in this world, in here, those are the ones you need to utterly destroy without mercy, because if you don't, you will suffer the consequences of it. I
agree. And I agree. And for years, when we had to go to Sunday school, I usually ended up in the back of the class with a color book, because I asked questions and that no one was able to answer or willing to answer. Here, where's the Crayola? Where's the color book? Let's just, you know, usher her ass to the back again. I'm serious. I can't tell you how many color books I finished. That's where I sat.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Even for me,
you know, it's because, you know, intuitively you just knew, and that's good.
Yeah. So, you know, I grew up in a household in Sikhism. So although the foundation in Sanskrit, when you look at the pure teachings of Sanskrit, it means totally different to how it's been translated in the newer versions of the religious teachings and the do's and don'ts in the temples and the gurdwaras and the churches. You know, as a young child, I had to attend religious studies at school, which I'm so thankful for, because my soul didn't align with a lot of the teachings and the do's and don'ts. And that for me, because then I was a rebel then, because I didn't comply to that.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, I'm sorry, I don't feel this is resonating with my soul. It doesn't align. I'm not going to believe in this. And I'm not. So I had to kind of just be in my power from the child I was to who I am today, is truly feel the vibration, the alignment of each word, sound, how it feels, because we're given the 3 brains of the body to really understand, feel it out, and know your inner knowing, inner being, a higher self is telling you something different.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And religion is just, it's a weird thing. And I can tell you from my own journey, because I was raised in a Pentecostal Church of God. My mom raised me in that church, which is the church her mom raised her in. And my mom actually, she left the church before I was even born. She decided to start going back to it when I was about 7. So my life was pretty normal up until I was 7. And then all of a sudden at 7, like everything just changed. And these people are crazy. I mean, it is a psychotic cult, and it is so demonic and satanic. And I say that because people are trained to think that satanic and demonic is like, human sacrifice, and which it is, but they think that's all it is. They think it's like, devil worship and these weird rituals and all kinds of crazy shit, right? It's not just that. In fact, the majority of Luciferian or satanic influence and practice, or demonic influence and practice, is the really subtle stuff. The stuff that appear, like the Bible says, the devil appears as an angel of light. It's not, you take, like in anything, you drink something, and it's not gonna kill you, and it may look like it's something good, or you can just take a pure glass of water. It could be the cleanest, most healthy water in the world, and you put just a 1 drop of poison in it. If it's strong enough poison, it'll kill you, right? Mm-hmm. That's how you poison somebody. You don't, or it'll just make you really sick, and you might not know, and you keep drinking the same water, and it just keeps you sick all the time, and you don't know it. No one's going to just pick, if you hand somebody a glass of poison, they say, here, drink this, it's poison. No one's going to drink it, right? People aren't deceived by that. The devil is deceptive.
Yes.
So what does he do? He creates this thing called religion, because it appears on the outside as something that is good, something that you should do, you should follow. And that's how he sucks people in. And so this is what I was up against. So when I say this is demonic and satanic, that's what I mean. Because the worst parts of anything demonic, satanic, or Luciferian are the things which appear on the outside to be wholesome.
The trick.
But on the inside, they're wretched and rotten and toxic to the core. And they cause nothing but fear, shame, guilt, condemnation. And so that's what I was raised in. Now, and get this, on the other side, on my dad's side, my mom and dad were divorced when I was just a baby. So I was back and forth. So that I was mostly with my mom and in that Pentecostal Church of God. On my dad's side, he was raised by, his dad was a Southern Baptist minister. So I had Southern Baptist on the other side, right? So, and believe it or not, the Southern Baptist was actually like 10 times better than the Pentecostal Church of God. Let me just give you a rundown of how psychotic and demonic and toxic the Pentecostal Church of God is. Now, there are 2 branches of Pentecostal. Some of them will speak in tongues, and some of them, like the one I was raised in, actually say that it's evil to speak in tongues. Okay. Oh, wow. That's neither here nor there. I just wanted to throw that out as a little extra piece of knowledge there. But so here's what it was like. This is why I say that up until the age of 7, my life was normal. And then all of a sudden, just bam, it all changed in the blink of an eye.
Wow.
Here, it's literally a set of rules. It's a damn cult that you have to live in. Okay. Nobody can wear shorts. Guys have to wear pants. Girls have to wear a skirt that has to be below the knee. You can't have a split in your skirt. Women cannot cut their hair, not one tiny speck of it. Guys have to cut their hair. No makeup, no jewelry, no secular music. Some even go as far as to say no music except for the music that's actually recorded in that specific church building with their music equipment and their songs. No movie theater, no TV, no dancing. I wasn't able to go to any prom or homecoming or anything like that, right? Because you're not allowed to dance. You're going to burn in hell if you dance with a girl, God forbid. Or even just dancing by yourself. That's a sin too. Even though there's many scriptures in the Bible where it talks about people dancing, like David, David danced unto the Lord. Oh, that was different. He was just celebrating. They come up with all kinds of goofy ass bullshit excuses to live in this toxic, demonic cognitive dissonance. And for what? I don't know. I'm trying to do the mental gymnastics to comprehend how you get yourself in such a deranged state of mind where you think that this is good. It just baffles me. And my mom, even more recently, has said, I'm sorry I raised you in that, because she's woken up. She's really brilliant, wonderful woman. Awesome. But I told her, I was like, Mom, don't worry about it, because I'm actually glad you did, because number one, I wasn't raised in it from the time I was like 0, right? Like all the way. Like I at least made it to 7. So I got past the point where you would have all the way up to age 7 roughly is about where you can really program a child subconsciously. Exactly. So I already kind of crossed past that threshold. And I was only really in it from the age of 7 to like 15. Because by the time I was 16, I got my driver license, I got a job. So I was kind of more out on my own, and my mom would let me, oh, well, I can't go to church tonight, Mom, I got to work, So, and she wanted me to work. So it was kind of like a trade-off. But by that time, she was kind of more lax with it anyway. So really, I was only in it from like 8 years, hardcore. But it was enough to where I had it shoved down my throat enough, forced on me enough. And it bothered me and annoyed me enough that drove me to do the research that I've done and to become the person I've become and to know the things that I know. So now I can share this, because it's like, if I said all the things that I say and did all the things that I do on my show and the things that I write in my books, and I never stepped foot in a church, or I wasn't raised in a church, I would just sound like some self-righteous, indignant asshole that thinks he's some fucking Mr. Know-it-all that never actually went through it. But I went through it. I was born and raised in it, essentially, if you take out the first 7 years. But, I saw my youngest sister raised in it from the time she was, 1 or 2 years old. So she broke out of it too. I mean, thank God that she was, smart enough to eventually see the light of day and got out of it too. But it's been an interesting journey. I wouldn't trade. If I had to go back, people say, well, if you had to go back knowing what you know now, what would you change? Honestly, I wouldn't change anything, because had I not gone through everything I went through exactly the way I did, I wouldn't be here today doing what I'm doing now. Exactly. And quite frankly, I know I'm on my correct life path, and I'm doing things that make me happy. And I'm just glad I can share this with people and help them to break out of it and help them to help other people break out of it.
I love how you know what you know, and that you're able to articulate it to get it across to so many people. Satnam, go ahead.
I'm excited to join you on Sunday and learn more about it. And
it's a good time.
Everybody needs to really see and feel and know the truth. That's first of all. Secondly, I know everything kind of leads into one subject to another subject. So I'm just going to touch upon a couple of things. One is music, how we are controlled by certain frequencies of music in the system. And obviously, I understand that you're creating different kind of music to raise the frequency. And is that correct? So I was listening to something.
I'm doing it just through the lyrics, not really the frequency, right?
Okay.
And here's my thing with that, because a lot of people are surprised to find this out, because they're like, Ethan knows all this stuff about vibration, frequency. Surely he tunes all of his instruments to 432 and not 440, right? No, that's not the case, and I'll tell you why. It's very difficult to do a lot of the things and do them well at a very high quality professional level if you're trying to tune to 432 and a lot of things. There's just things you can't do.
Right.
That's number one. Number two, we're not listening to those frequencies 24/7. Now, if you were bathing yourself in a 440 frequency 24/7 at a very high intensity, that would be really bad. But most people, quite honestly, on average, listen to maybe 10, 15 minutes of music a day, So to only listen to those specific frequencies for that long, not that big of a deal. Not only that, there's only one note on the scale that's 440, and that's the A note, right? All the rest of them are different frequencies. And they're not all as harmful as what these people have made it out to be. And I think this happens a lot, especially in the truth circles. You have a lot of your patriot mythology people, but you also have your spiritual mythology people. It's like we take it from, we make a discovery and we wake up. So we go from one extreme and we swing super far the other way and exaggerate the fuck out of everything and make it seem like, well, everything is so bad. You can't do anything. You have to completely change everything. You can't listen. So now it's like, now it's just my mom's church all over again. Like, I can't listen to the same music. Like, what the hell happened? Like, no, that's not the problem. Not only that, but songs on average are 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes. And you listen to them and, you really need to go off more of how the song makes you feel, because this up here is way more powerful than any frequency coming out of speakers. Okay.
Yep.
If you aren't strong enough up here to control where you go with the frequencies out here affecting you, you got a problem. It's kind of like saying that I can't listen to something tuned to 440 because it's bad for me. Well, if it was so bad for you that it would really affect you in that much of a way, that means you're weak-minded up here. That would be like saying, I can't walk into a strip club where they're doing lines of coke and banging hookers in the back, because if I do, I'm going to start doing lines of coke and banging hookers in the back. If you don't have enough self-control and you can't control this thing up here, well, then you got more problems than walking into a strip club with a bunch of gangbangers. You got more problems than listening to 440 hertz music. You need to first fix what's up here, because 440 hertz doesn't affect me that way. Okay. And I meditate with specific frequencies, but those frequencies are on constantly. That's the other thing. All the frequencies in the song are constantly shifting and moving as the song moves. So it's not like you're getting bombarded with this one pinpointed frequency, right? So that's, again, they take stuff out of context. These spiritual mythology people in the truth circles are doing the same thing that these religious people in the quack job churches are doing. They're just taking certain ideas out of context and they're exaggerating the shit out of it, and they're running with this concept of fear. If you overcome fear, I don't care what frequencies you're hit with, it's not going to affect you.
Yeah. It's all about your alignment, right? It's all about where you
Make
stand.
your own damn frequency. Make your frequency that you emanate so powerful that everything else out here doesn't even have any meaning. It doesn't have any effect.
Doesn't have a chance.
You got to shine from the inside out. Everybody's so, again, I don't get it. It's like people claim to wake up, but then they go from the crazy cabal religions and government ideologies to these new patriot mythology and spiritual mythology ideologies that are just as fear-based, just as guilt, shame, and condemnation based as all the stuff that the rest of the world's doing. It's like you traded in one form of shit for another.
Exactly.
You didn't fix anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
The answer is right here. It's in the middle. It's balance. And you have to learn to shine from the inside out. Learn to become autonomous. That's the true salvation that Jesus talked about. That's how you achieve Christ consciousness. And once you do that, it doesn't matter what the hell's going on out here. You could be in the middle of a prison cell like the Apostle Paul was, just singing and rejoicing because everything, he was shining from the inside out. He was ministering to the prison guards and had them getting all excited and raising their frequency and their consciousness. What ended up happening? He raised the frequency in that prison so much, he ended up breaking out of that place because angels showed up. You're not going to make angels show up in your life to break you out of bad situations. If you're worried about your surroundings, you're just dumbing yourself down. You have to raise everything around you. You have to be the reason the angels show up. They can't show up without your permission. How do you give them a permission? Learn to shine from the inside out.
be the reason they show up.
Exactly.
Oh,
You create
beautiful.
everything. It's all it's either your fault or it's you are the reason everything that happens to you. Hate to say it, that sounds harsh, but that's the way it is.
True.
Even all the things that have happened in my life that are negative, I'm the reason for it because I made decisions to get myself, even if it was a long chain of decisions, I made the decisions to get to that point, to make those things happen.
100%.
That's it.
And that is absolutely brilliant and spot on in that whole
We have to
realm
learn
of
to
how you
take
put it.
responsibility. That's the problem. Nobody wants to take responsibility. They want somebody else to show up and do it for them. I mean, look at all the patriot mythology people out there waiting for Donald Trump to show up and fix
Oh, good
the
Lord.
whole entire country. Donald Trump's going to take out all the bad guys. Everything's going to be fixed tomorrow.
No.
Every day they wake up and say that. When do you think it's going to happen? I don't know. When are you going to decide to change your life? That's when it's going to happen for you. And when
Right.
enough people do that, then it'll happen collectively. And if you think you want somebody to have enough power to be able to step in and change everything for your whole country or for your life, that's a scary place to be.
Yeah,
That's the ass opposite of what our founding fathers set up.
exactly.
You need to accept the fact that the good news is it's up to you, but the bad news is it's up to you.
Yeah.
And then the
100%.
sooner you get on board with that, the sooner things are going to start making sense and things are going to seem to magically align.
Yep.
They don't magically align. They align because you fix what's in here. You start shining from the inside out. You start creating and manifesting your own reality.
Yep.
And you're doing that whether you think you are or not. So you're either going to manifest for the good or you're going to manifest for the worse.
Wow.
No matter what you're manifesting.
You are so spot on. I can't even, I'm like at a loss for words, and everybody who knows me knows that's just almost impossible.
I love it. This is just so powerful. And we need this. And we need to have you back on here again as well, please.
As often as you
Sure,
want.
anytime.
Yeah. And thank you for that. So just on another level, I'd like your insights, please, because I just appreciate you so much for what you're bringing forward and the awareness, because this is about growth. It's about how we grow spiritually, physically, on every level. This is the awareness that's raising the consciousness, not just of the planet. Mm-hmm. The frequencies that are, there's more light coming to the planet because people are becoming more aware. Mm-hmm. The intense frequencies, the speeding up of time and those kind of things. How do you kind of resonate that with how humanity is really waking up? Is there any correlation to that, do you feel? Do you feel that the more awareness people have to connect to the light, the easier it is and the quicker it is for us to all come together powerfully to get out of this whole past few years that we've been through?
Yeah, because honestly, it is a collective thing. The reason why I don't remember who said it, but there's a famous old saying that says people deserve the government they get. That's just one aspect that's kind of related to what you're saying, I think. And it's true. It's like, unfortunately, we all are kind of tethered together. So there are a lot of things that are going to affect, even though I have the ability to manifest in my own life and kind of create a bubble around myself. And I talk about it all the time with, structuring your life a certain way and learning to live 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the system. Jesus instructed us to do this. He said, be in the world, but not of it. Right. Mm-hmm. So you have to learn how to use the tools in the world and work with what's out there, because that's what's being created collectively. Right. So we're living in a collective dream. It's like, yeah, you can manifest, but there's certain limits. Like I can't manifest something that's going to affect everybody else. I can manifest what's going to affect me. But the cool thing about the way God set this up is that you can't encroach on my free will and I can't encroach on your free will. So the enemy knows this, the cabal knows this, and that's why they get us to collectively manifest stuff together that all affect each other, because that's the only way they have a license to do this. Otherwise they don't, right?
Yeah.
So the problem lies in the fact that the more people that are dumbed down, the more it's going to limit me individually, because I still have to be in the world, just not of it, right? So it does kind of limit what I can do, limits what you can do. The more dumbed down society is, the lower their vibration is, as people like to say it. It's just another way of saying, it's maybe a more fluffy way of saying dumbed down, but that's what they are, is they're dumbed down. So the more the self-awareness raises, I think that's what people are really talking about when they say raise your vibration, raise your frequency. It's really more just about self-discovery. Okay. There's no, people like to think of things in terms, because Nikola Tesla said it, everything's frequency, right? Well, yeah, it is, but that doesn't mean that like, and this is where all these false ideas of like, ascending to 5D, everything's going to magically change and you just fucking float out of here, right? Like that's not what that even means. You're not going to raise your frequency and then all of a sudden your body just, turns into some crystalline thing and you go float off on a UFO fleet somewhere. That's not how that shit works. You're still in 3D. These bodies are still flesh and blood bodies. Paul said in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, I believe it was verse 50 or somewhere around there, he said, flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. Can't, because this is flesh and blood. It's not going to change. Okay. God is not, he doesn't come up with these concocted weird ass fantasy realities. It's very straightforward, very mathematical, very concise, very to the point. So what's in flesh and blood will remain in flesh and blood. If you want to transcend flesh and blood, you have to do that up here. Now, maybe your next go round, you won't come back here. Maybe then you can ascend to something that you might think of as 5D or whatever, but there is not going to be, and all the Christians that believe in this rapture nonsense, which by the way, is not even biblical. That concept wasn't even invented until the late 1800s. That's how new that doctrine is. It's not even in the Bible. They get it from the scripture that says, we'll all be caught up in the clouds, which again is symbolic. The clouds are the higher realms of consciousness, Christ consciousness. And that will all be changed in the twinkling of an eye. In fact, it's in that 1 Corinthians chapter 15, where Paul says, flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. Well, being changed in the twinkling of an eye doesn't mean we're all going to be raptured out of here. Physical bodies do not rapture. I hate to burst anybody's bubble, but it's time to start taking the Bible seriously instead of literally. Time to start understanding what it says. Could you imagine you got a problem with your car and you open up the owner's manual and it's explaining something that you don't understand and you think that it means something that it doesn't, and you start working on your car in a way that you think is going to fix it because you think it said something it didn't, and you break it even worse? That's what religion is doing, because they don't know how to read the owner's manual. Okay. We have to be mature adults here. I don't care what you want it to be. If you're going to use the Bible, you have to use it for the way it was written and what it actually says. It's not up to you. It's up to the authors of the Bible. Okay. So if you're going to use it, you got to learn what they meant when they said it, understand why they wrote it the way they wrote it. And so when you can do that, now you can properly apply it to get real results in your life. As soon as I started doing that, I was able to make leaps and bounds in my life and manifestation, understanding you can't change the physical flesh and blood. You can heal it, because if you get this thing in 5D, oh yeah, you can make a lot of real changes here. But this flesh and blood body is never going to inherit the kingdom of God. It's not going to float off into space. It's not going to float off into some other dimension. It's not going to happen. That's not how it works. It was not designed that way. It was designed as, this is basically a earth suit. Like, they have space suits to go in space, right? This is an earth suit to be on the earth. Okay. It's a meat puppet. You're controlling an avatar. The avatar is not going to change. The rules surrounding the avatar are not going to change to meet your fantasies. You have to learn to be in the world, but not of it. Play the game, use everything to your advantage, get as good at it as you can, and then move on. And that's all I do. I try every day to get better at manifesting and making myself happier, healthier, wealthier, and full of love, and spreading as much love and joy as I can. But also not, you don't want to, I was just looking at a good scripture for this today. Let me see if I still have it pulled up here. Yeah.
Do you have a book that has your formula in it that explains all of these things that you just said?
No, not yet. It's
Okay.
I would say collectively, all of my books, once they're all done, we'll probably have that. But I don't know if there's a way to put that in one book. But this scripture right here, John chapter 8, verse 31, then said Jesus to those Jews, these are the religious people, right? The Jews which believed on him. So there at his time, there were religious people that were starting to see, oh shit, we were duped, right? Okay. Then Jesus said to those Jews or those religious people that believed on him, if you continue in my word, then you are my disciples indeed. Okay. So not just because you read the book and you show up at church and make your version of it, right? If you actually listen to what I said and do what I said, then you'll be my disciple. Well, what does a disciple of Jesus do? The same thing that Jesus did, right? Jesus said, you will do greater things than what I've done. How come we don't see people doing greater things than what Jesus did? Because they're not listening to what he said. They're doing what religion says. And the day that I figured that out and I went back and I went back to square one, I'm like, okay, I either have to scrap the whole Bible and forget it because it's all nonsense, or there's a different way this was meant to be read. And I figured out that way, which was the way it was actually meant to be read. Doesn't mean I can't get stuff wrong. In fact, sometimes I figure out, oh, okay, I think maybe I got this a little bit wrong over here. Let's change that. We'll go back and correct it. Right. And I tell people all the time, don't believe it just because Ethan Lucas said it. That's bullshit. Do your own research on your own. I'm just trying to show you what I've figured out so far. It's up to you whether you believe it or not, but you certainly shouldn't just take my word for it, because if you just take my word for it, it's not going to work for you. You have to absorb it and know it, not just mentally ascend to agree with an idea, because that's what religion teaches you to do. You have to be able to absorb it and know it intimately, because if you don't know it intimately, you can't do it with precision. You can't produce results with something you don't intimately know inside and out in here, right? Right. Watching a video of somebody hit a home run is not the same thing as learning how to hit a home run.
Nope.
Going to church every Sunday and watching some dude read out of the Bible is not the same as actually doing what Jesus said to do. And really, all they're doing is like going to a restaurant, sitting down and reading the menu, and the waiter comes over and says, are you ready to order? And you're like, no, I think I'm just going to sit here every time I come in and read the menu. You know, these pictures look really great. I love just reading what y'all put together. This is an amazing just piece of material. It's so beautiful, but I don't want to order anything. I'm not going to actually consume anything. I'm not going to actually take in and utilize anything that's on this menu. I'm not going to put it in. I'm not going to eat the word. The Bible said, eat the word. That means get it in you, which means if it goes in you, it's going to come out of you. They don't want to do that. They just want to sit every Sunday and read the fucking menu. They don't ever actually want to order anything. They don't want to eat anything. So
I love your analogy.
How to do that, then you can change your life. And it's not going to change dramatically overnight. No. It won't. You have to stay consistent. You have to be persistent. You have to be so stubborn with this that you want it worse than anything. And when that happens, what did Jesus say? Ask and it shall be given unto you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be given and opened unto you, right? These people aren't knocking. They're not seeking. They're not asking. They're just showing up and reading the fucking menu. That's all they're doing.
So
and they do that on these podcasts too. All these patriot mythology people waiting for Trump to come in and save the day. What are they doing? They're reading the fucking menu every time they turn on a podcast. They don't want to actually go out and do anything.
Right. And it's all going to happen next week and then next week and then next week.
Right.
That's why it's not happening.
Right. It's not happening because you're not happening.
We didn't commit it goes back to that.
It goes back to what we were talking about earlier, how everything will start to manifest collectively when we all individually start to manifest it, because it is a collective dream. And you can manifest in your own little bubble and you can make things happen for you.
Yes.
But as soon as you start to affect other people, you're not going to be able to manifest in somebody else's life unless they allow it, right?
Right.
That's how the cabal gets us to manifest all the shit in our lives, because we allow them to program us and then we manifest it. So we gave them the permit to do it.
We need to take that back.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people, they don't understand this either when it comes to prayer, speaking words. Prayer is speaking words and manifesting, commanding something to be done. Meditation is listening. Like, how do you even know what to speak unless you listen first? You get the download from God, you meditate, you sit down, you shut up, you forget what you think you know, and then you get it from source. Once you get it from source, then you need to speak it. Jesus said, when you pray, pray like this. He didn't say this exact prayer. What do they all do when they get together? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. It's bullshit. It's garbage. Nothing's happening. It's a waste of time. Jesus said, pray like this. It was a blueprint for manifesting. What did he do? He showed you, this is how you manifest. That's what prayer is, manifest. You're not asking for permission. You're manifesting. In fact, you have to give heaven permission to manifest for you, because now you've been given full authority for this. That's what Christ did. He came back to give you authority from what Adam already had authority in the garden.
Yep.
By the way, this is the garden, okay?
Yes.
Adam had authority in the garden. He gave that authority over to the serpent out here, okay? What does Christ do when he comes in here? Christ comes to the earth. Where's the earth? You're the earth. The earth's in here, okay? He takes back authority and gives it back to you. So when you accept Christ, when you accept the idea that you need to raise your consciousness up to Christ consciousness is what the Bible calls it. Yep. Then and only then can you take your authority back. But once you take your authority back, what does it mean to have authority? That means you're the one that has to give the okay, right?
Right.
You're the one that has to give the permit for it to happen. How do you think how did Paul get angels to show up in the prison to let him out? Right. He manifested it. He did what Jesus said. He opened up with thanksgiving and gratitude. That was the Lord's Prayer. He gave you the structure, the outline. When you pray like this. First, open up with thanksgiving and gratitude, because you're not going to manifest shit unless you're in a spirit of thanksgiving and gratitude. So he opens up with thanksgiving and gratitude, and then he starts to manifest after that. He says, give us this day our daily bread. He didn't say, can we please, oh dear Lord, baby Jesus, God, please, we're so hungry, we need some bread. Oh my God, please, we're going to start with dying over here. He didn't ask anything. He commanded it. When when there was a storm and it was about to knock the boat over and kill everybody, first of all, was he in a panic? No, he was asleep in the bottom of the boat. They had to go wake him up, right? And they're all freaking out. And what did he say? Oh, ye of little faith. They weren't manifesting. They weren't taking authority. Did he pray to God and say, oh God, please, we're about to die. Please take a storm away. Please save us. He didn't do that. He spoke to the storm. He spoke directly to the problem. Why? Because he has authority. So if you want angels to show up in your life like Paul did, like Jesus did, like anybody in the Bible, when stuff actually happened, when you want stuff to show up, you have to take authority. You have to grant heaven the permission to do it. You write the permit for heaven. Okay? You have to give them the permit to do it, or they can't show up and do it. Right. God's waiting on you. You're like, I'm waiting on God. No, God's waiting on you. It's like I give this example sometimes. I like to do it because it really paints a good picture. And I've done it before. So those of you who have seen me give this example before, you'll be like, oh, here we go again. But a lot of people haven't heard it. But this is the perfect example. So what it's like, because I hear people say this all the time. Well, I had faith and we prayed for grandma and she still died. Well, no, you didn't. You didn't believe, because real believing, first of all, is in the subconscious mind. So if you're just mentally ascending to agree with an idea, you didn't believe, right? Subconscious belief is totally different. And I had to do a lot of work on myself, even through dream therapy and self-hypnosis, digging through my subconscious mind to find out where these programs existed that were blocking my ability to manifest, or the things that were attracting bad things in my life. And when I found them and I rooted them out, things just instantly changed. Then I could start to manifest. Because unbelief will continually program itself in your subconscious mind if you're not continually rooting up those weeds. It's constant work. It takes constant effort and constant work. Jesus said, pick up your cross and follow me. It's not an easy process. Jesus said, he who overcomes, I will give a crown of life. not he who sits down and says a magic abracadabra prayer or text 18720, get saved. And, because that's what they're doing now in church. They went from,
God.
before you get the altar call, you come down and they pray for you. Now you say the magic abracadabra prayer and you're saved. Now you die and you go to an all expenses paid resort forever, right? That's what it used to be. And they're like, well, people are embarrassed to come down. So now we're just going to, everybody bow your heads and close your eyes. If you have a need, raise your hand. If you want to get saved, say this prayer. But then they're like, well, no, that's too embarrassing because maybe some people are looking around, and then or maybe somebody will hear you saying the prayer. So now everybody has to say the prayer. So now they're just on repeat like robots, repeating this magic abracadabra prayer to get saved.
Doesn't work.
Bullshit, does nothing, right? But
Exactly.
That was even too much now because apparently for Gen Z, they can't even handle that. So now they got a text. I kid you not. You go into some church services now and they're like, if you want to get saved, text get saved to 18720 or something like that. I'm dead serious. Like, this is how fucking crackerjack box prize salvation has become for this generation. It's insane. Okay. But anyway, back to my original point about about the whole thing with manifesting, and your unbelief is causing. This is what Jesus said to his disciples all the time. They weren't able to manifest. They weren't able to stop a storm. Why? Well, maybe they weren't speaking to the storm. Maybe they had unbelief in their heart. Bible talks about unbelief in your heart all the time, right? It's not talking about your blood pump. That's not the heart. The heart is the core, the center of your consciousness. That's the heart. Okay. So when you have unbelief deep rooted and programmed in the subconscious or unconscious mind, the conscious mind doesn't know it's there. You don't even know it's there because you won't go look. You won't go into your prayer closet and shut out the world and sit down and shut up. If you do that, you shut everything out and you shut up and you get all your thoughts out of your mind. Jesus said, take no thought, take no thought, take what for your raiment, for food, all this stuff. For anything, all the issues that pertain to life, what did he say? Take no thought. You have to get the download. That's the only way you can do it, is if you shut up. You can't hear that still small voice if you constantly have chatter up here, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, this whole thing with the issue of, okay, so we've already been given the power and authority to manifest. The power has already been supplied. We just have to take authority over and activate it. That's all it is. It's like this. You come home one night and all the lights are out and you're like, oh man, it's dark. Okay, I'm going to call the power company. And they get on the phone. They're like, and you're like, I can't see. Can you turn the lights on? It's dark in my house. And they say, well, sir, do you have your account number? No, I don't. Okay, what's your phone number? I'll look up your account. Okay, you give them the number. They're like, okay, sir, I see here that your account is in good standing. The power has already been supplied to your house. Have you tried flipping the switch?
Yeah.
That's it. Nobody wants to flip the switch. Where's the switch? It's in here. The last place anybody wants to go, in here. The last place that church wants you to go, in here, inside the real temple of God. They want to keep you going out here, always looking out here for God, somewhere out here. Always out here, never in here. The last place they want you to go, and the last place that you want to go because you've let them program you to not want to go in here. Oh God, it's so boring. It's so much work. Is it really that bad in here? Then you really need to go in there and clean out the cobwebs and start build some stuff, because this is the most important world in here that you'll ever have to do. It doesn't matter. You can't run away from in here. You can move all over the world. Guess who goes with you everywhere you go? You do. And you take all of this with you. So it's never going to get better until you decide to sit down and start the cleanup job, do some remodeling. Okay? Go to war. That's what the Bible's telling you in the Old Testament. Go to war. All the Hittites and the Amorites and the Amalekites and the Philistines, they're all in here. Yeah. You got to go slaughter them all. No mercy. And until you do that, you can't experience the land flowing with milk and honey. You can't experience the promised land. You can't get back the Garden of Eden. You can't get back the temple of God. You'll never experience God until you clean this out up here. And that's up to you. Every one of us.
So Diane's just got to excuse herself for a second. So we'll continue. Thank you for that. That's just so powerful. And it's just a reminder to ourselves as to where we really need to be. And the soul knows everything because we come with that power. We come with that knowing. But the reminders are the reminders that are waking everybody up. And the other thing that goes into this, when you say one leg in the world or of the world, the next thing that comes up is about, you teach about common law and contract law. With the things that we're going through right now, I think it's important to kind of learn those elements too. Yep. Is that part of your Sunday teachings too, or where can we learn more about that?
Well, honestly, I don't really go into a lot of law teachings on my shows.
Okay.
Because you can get into a dangerous area where you're practicing law in the eyes of the three-letter agencies, right?
Yeah.
But in my PMA for the ministry, the Private Member Association, there are things that I do. I have a life structuring program where I teach people how to basically do what I've done, things that I've learned over the course of many decades on how to live 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the world, be in the world but not of it. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, render unto the Lord what is the Lord's, and teach people how you can actually do exactly that, what the Bible says, and you can live. It's all done through risk mitigation and asset protection and using their system against them to your benefit. So I do teach people how to do that, because I do it for myself. All I'm doing is teaching people what I already do and what I've been doing for decades. A lot of it I've learned through some mentors that I was fortunate enough to meet in my early 20s, who were Ivy League people, if you will, Harvard, Yale, all that. And they understand this stuff very well. They're very wealthy. They taught me what they do, and I started learning to apply it in my own life. I mean, they didn't do it for me, and this is why it's taken me quite a while to get to where I am now, because I did kind of have to learn it through the School of Hard Knocks, but through trial and error.
Where would we find that?
Well, that's a life structuring program that I offer. If you want to do that, that's done in the private. I don't, because again, if you do something in the public, you're under public jurisdiction.
Understand.
Okay? Anything in the private is not. So that's why we do these things in a PMA. But if you're interested in my life structuring program, I can show you how to live almost entirely tax-free and retire completely tax-free. How to completely protect all your assets, do as much risk mitigation as possible, and actually become your own banker. That's something that and you hear a lot of Patriot mythology people out there, the David Straits and the Russell J. Golds, teaching people that they can write down some fucking squiggly lines and colons and shit on a piece of paper, and somehow you give that to the judge as if a judge is going to go, oh damn, he got us, he wrote a colon here and a squiggly line here, fuck, I can't do nothing now. All right, you're free to go, sir. They don't give a shit about your made up paperwork. No. You have to learn how to use. You think Donald Trump does that?
No.
It's ridiculous. Donald Trump does exactly what I'm talking about. Now, I'm sure Donald Trump knows a lot more of what to do than what I do, okay? And he does it at a much higher level, but we use the same principles of using their system against them. Remember what happened when they wanted to see his tax returns? He paid almost no taxes and he wasn't in trouble. Why? Because he used their system against them. What happens to people that follow David Straight and Russell J. Fool's Gold? They end up screwed. Heavy fines, in jail, nothing's working. All you got's a bunch of phony paperwork that you made up yourself. That's it. So anyway, so that I just live by those principles. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like Jesus said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. And we do a real good job of making sure that most of the things that we touch are not Caesar's. And you render unto the Lord what is the Lord's. And they ain't allowed to touch what's the Lord's. Right? By their own rules. And there's nothing they can do about it. So we do it by the rules, by the book officially. And so if you want to inquire about, and I don't take everybody on because I only do like 5 or 6 max, because this is highly customized to your life, specifically your goals, your situation. It's not a cookie cutter thing. You're not going to get a download link and get all these, because that's what everybody wants, right? Like, oh, give me a download link and I'm going to watch all these videos and fill out some magic paperwork. There's no such thing. If that's what you're getting from somebody, you're getting ripped off.
Yeah.
You have to sit down, you have to strategize, specifically custom tailor it to your life, your circumstances, your goals, because there's all kinds of strategies you can use. You know, it's like a coach writing a playbook for the Super Bowl. You know, there's rules you have to follow, but you can do anything you want inside those rules. That's what we do. We sit down and we write a playbook for the Super Bowl, which is your life.
I love that.
And you can modify it, and we change it as we go along. If things change for you or whatever, or maybe something's not working out quite the way you wanted to, well, there's a different strategy we can take, and we adjust it. So that's why I have to do it in a one-on-one setting, because it's a highly customized, tailored, specific to your life situation. But if you want to inquire about it, I do like a preliminary 15-minute interview, see if it's a good fit. I might not be able to help you. Some people I just can't help.
Okay.
And so if you want to do that, you can text me at 513-995-4555. If Ronnie's still in the chat, she knows the number. She can probably put it in there.
She's posted it.
Yeah, I'm not looking at the chat right now. Okay. So yeah, if you're interested in that, and it's no tricks or gimmicks, but we do have to do everything in the private. You do have to become a member of the PMA, because it is all done in the private. We don't practice law. We don't practice medicine. We don't give financial or legal or tax advice, none of that stuff. Everything we do is just, hey, this is what I learned how to do. This is how I live my life. This is how I've structured my life. And this is how I handle my affairs. And then I show you how to do the same thing. That's it. It's that simple.
We leave so much to chance in the public right now. It's just, there's too much.
By the way, just for those who are curious, I own nothing in the public. On paper, Ethan Lucas is broke as a joke, but I control a lot of assets. Guess what Donald Trump does? He owns almost nothing. Donald Trump is actually broke as a joke on paper in the public. But Donald Trump controls a lot of assets and a lot of companies that control a lot of assets. The David Straits and the Russell J. Golds will lead you down a path that'll get all your stuff taken and land you behind bars. But if you do stuff the way you're supposed to, like Jesus said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, render unto the Lord what is the Lord's. Keep the stuff in the public that has to be in the public. Everything else you can put in the private, put it in the private. And that's what we do.
I'm in for that.
I'm signing up.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that I legally have not paid, and this is God's honest truth, legally have not had to pay income taxes in 20 years.
Oh my God, that would be so amazing.
Legally, according to their rules. So why would you follow the David Straits and the Russell J. Golds? You're rolling the dice when you can actually legally, again, do you think Donald Trump pays that much in taxes?
Oh, hell no.
He only pays what he has to. It's the same principles. It's not even hard. I don't know why everyone's looking for this magic bullet that doesn't exist. You live in the society you live in. This is the collective dream we've all manifested because we let them tell us to manifest it, and we did. So we have to live inside the constraints of that. But there's a lot of tricks and gimmicks and loopholes that you can use to your advantage.
But you did say it. People aren't willing to do the deep stuff, and I would imagine that there's some very thought-provoking questions and things I will really need to think through. When we do this, and I'm prepared to do that. That's awesome.
But it's not hard. It's not hard. It just takes work. It takes diligence, takes focused effort, and it takes work.
Awesome.
It's like anything. Everything takes a bit of work, right? You've got
and you
to
have
apply.
And I call it life structuring because you really have to be willing to unlearn how you structure and run your life, like the way you do things. Like I don't have any personal bank accounts. That's a big no-no. You want to get hit with a big tax bill that they can put you behind bars for? Go get yourself a personal bank account.
All right.
That's
just
valuable.
That's just one example.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm all about being off this circus, clown car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
No, I was just going to say, I was telling.
And by the way, I'm sorry. By the way, that doesn't mean you don't have. That doesn't mean you don't have debit cards.
Right.
Or credit cards.
We'll talk about that.
Because there's plenty of those. You just have to learn how to structure it. That's why, again, the program's called Life Structuring.
Right.
They've taught you how to structure your life in a way where you have maximum tax liability. and
Yes.
maximum risk. We
Right.
flip it on its head. We minimize everything to its fullest extent.
Right. I was saying to my husband, probably about 8 years ago, I said, you know what, there's got to be a way that I could be my own banker. And he looked at me and he laughed.
Yep, there is.
And I'm like, I will find a way. And he goes, you know what, I give up because I know you will. I will.
Well, I can show you how to do it. So
Absolutely. I'm in. Whoop, whoop.
yeah. It's not as hard as you think. You just have to learn how to do it. And they keep it hidden.
Awesome.
It's not advertised.
Right. Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Well, we would absolutely love to have you back, Ethan. You're just a shining star in more than one way. I just enjoy your time and the ability you have that you get this concept that's complicated, convoluted, and all this other stuff, and you're able to sink it into our minds because it is so important what you speak about. And I just want to be able to give you an opportunity every chance that I can to get on a different platform and, spread the word, baby.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys having me. And yeah, anytime you want to do it, just let me know.
I will.
We'll be knocking on that door. So we love and appreciate you. We thank you for the wisdom that you've parted today and all that you do, all that you bring forward for everybody's benefit. It means a lot. It's empowering everybody. It really is. And this is why we get so excited to have you. Diane was dancing all day long. So.
Well, I'm glad you guys get something out of it. Otherwise, there'd be no reason for me to do it.
You're brilliant.
You're very powerful. Yeah. Really, really appreciate you. So I know Ronnie has done an amazing job in posting a lot of the links in the chat as well. So I think they've been pinned as well to this. So your link tree's in there, I believe. So that's awesome. Thank you, Ronnie. Really appreciate the support and all that you do.
Thank you.
And thank you, Kid and Candy are also tuning in, which is great. They send their love and appreciation for you.
And one more thing too, if you want to get notifications on when I'm going to be when I'm going to be going live, because I don't have a set schedule for my live shows, except for every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern with Jason Q on EthanLucas.com, and every Sunday now at 1 p.m. On EthanLucas.com. Any other shows that I might do, they're usually announced just when I set them up with whoever's going to be coming on the show. And I only announce my live shows on Telegram. So if you're not, and I do almost everything on Telegram. It's my main social media. In fact, I got back on Twitter again because of Elon Musk, thinking, okay, well, maybe it might work this time. I mean, it's been 4 months since I've been back on there, and I already got my account shut down. And I highly censor myself. So this whole thing with Elon Musk and free speech, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
So you're not going to find me on. I have my music and stuff on the Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. But this stuff here, it's only Telegram's the only one that doesn't censor me. So that's the only social media that people seem to like to go to and pay attention to. So I've made that one my main social media. So if you want to get constant updates, good information, I post a lot of funny memes, a lot of good articles. A lot of good information all the time, every day, constantly posting on Telegram. So it's Ethan Lucas Show on Telegram if you want to follow me. And make sure you bookmark and subscribe to EthanLucas.com for live shows. And then if you want to follow me on Rumble, it's Ethan Lucas Show on Rumble. So those are the three main things: Telegram, Rumble, and my own website. And
the cartoon at the beginning, I laughed so damn hard. You could run faster now. And I'm like, oh my God, this is hysterical.
Yeah. Well, I mean, see, this is why I get shut down on everything, right? But they can't shut me down on my own website.
No, it's awesome. I loved it. I got it.
So even if they shut me down on Telegram, even if they shut me down on Rumble, and I warn people, all these patriots think they're in the clear now, putting all their stock, all their eggs into one basket on Rumble. It's publicly traded now. There's a good possibility that somebody could come along, buy it out, and all the rules change, and it just becomes another YouTube. What are you going to do then when they shut down all your Rumble channels? Guess where I'm at? EthanLucas.com. What do I preach on all the truth tours? Build the parallel society. restructure your life. Live 1 foot in the system, 1 foot out. Use everything to your benefit, but build your own system. Do it your way and learn to do it well. That's the only safe place.
Right.
And that's what I do. So.
And now that I'm retired early, I will have the time and the dedication to do that. And most people are like, I can't even think of that. I gotta, the kids, the work, the this, the that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. We love you so much, and you're more than welcome back anytime. Are we gonna call it a day here?
I mean, I'm glad you guys are. Yeah, it is getting kind of, I don't know what time it is where you are, but it is getting kind of late here. It's almost 10 o'clock.
Yep. It's dinner time for my parents. So I'm the full-time caregiver. Pretty soon I'm going to be hearing over the microphone. Are you out
Hello?
there? Where's dinner?
Where's my phone?
Yeah. I've got my 2 fur babies here jumping around saying, come on, feed me too, feed me too. Yeah. So yeah, we'll do a wrap up. I think this was just so amazing, very powerful. Thank you so much for the wealth of knowledge and the wisdom that you've imparted today and shared with everybody. We really love and appreciate you so much. And we want to have you back for sure. And awesome. Even High Vibes family, they're all in the chat saying, we want you back. We want you back. So we'll be reaching out for another show. So that's wonderful. Have a wonderful rest of the night. Thank you so much. All right. And we'll be in touch.
Love you.
Yep, you too. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.